Hi, my name is Sochil, and I work on the Eureka team at UCSF, where we are developing the COVID detect study for use at Northwestern and other sites. So today I'm going to lead you through some training. We're going to look at the website where participants can interact. We're also going to look at the mobile app where participants can have a very similar experience. And then we'll take a look at the admin panel, and that's where coordinators are able to check in on participants, fill out coordinator forms, download consents, and a few other things. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things that I want to point out and make sure is pretty clear up front is that what I'm showing today is an environment we call stage. Another word for stage is practice or test. And the way that you can tell that I am on stage is it has this in the URL, hehtech.io. So if you are at this URL, which I will provide, this means you are in the practice and stage environment. You can create test users, you can try out things, but it's really meant to practice so that you're able to interact with the real environment where participants will actually enroll. So this is called Stage. I also have a Stage version of the mobile app. So it's really important that if you're going to test on the mobile app, you do not download the Eureka app from the App Store. That's the other environment. So the way to be able to test on Stage is I'll ask for your either Apple ID so that you can download something called Test Flight, where you can download the Stage app. Or you can provide me your Google Play email address, and there's a very similar app to download for testing on Android devices. So the other environment we call production. Production is where live participants enroll, interact, and you'll be filling out coordinator forms. And the link and everything that you will need for the production environment will be given to you at a later time. So definitely strongly encourage lots of practice in this stage or test environment before enrolling participants. All right, so I'm going to first show the web, and then I might show, I'll show the app kind of at the same time. So you'll notice up here it says Northwestern, welcome Wildcats. If in the future there are other sites or universities that are using the same study, we'll be able to customize this language here. Also on the stage, you'll see a few things that are unique to the stage environment. One of them is this get to the chapa. This creates a test user pretty quickly. So this will not be there in the production environment. So let's get started. So one of the very important things to understand is that participants in the COVID Detect study at Northwestern come in with a very specific referral. And this is how we keep track of participants coming from the Northwestern site. You can imagine if there are other sites in the future, maybe here at UCSF, we're going to want to keep track of that. And we're going to want to know where the participants enrolled. And we're going to want to make sure that in the admin panel, coordinators at UCSF can't see participants who are at Northwestern and vice versa. So we refer to a referral also as a study key. The study key for Northwestern is /detectnw. So hopefully that is easy to remember. When I press enter, you'll see that auto essentially corrected to something that says RFK and then a bunch of gibberish. So the detectnw is the simplified version. The link that you will want to give out to participants is the detect dot, well, it'll be a little bit different for production, but /detectnw. This is how you'll route participants to the right landing page. Once participants are here, they'll be able to hit join the study. This is how a participant will sign up on the web. And then we have some buttons here for app download. One thing that's really important to notice right now is that these buttons for app download are not currently configured for Stage. And that is because we are not live on production yet. So remember, if you want to test on Stage app, which I'll show kind of simultaneously, remember I need your email address. So this is for testing web, and we'll join there. Once the study is live on production, if a participant lands here, this is a method that they can download the app. All right, so I'm going to back up just a bit. I want to go back to just the generic link. And I want to show you when I hit join the study, it's going to ask me for a referral, or it should. I might need to bring up, I'm going to bring up an incognito window. All right, so just notice here, I did not include the /detectnw. And if I hit join the study, I'm going to get essentially this error that says referral required. So this is telling me, now pretending to be the participant, that I didn't arrive at the right link. And so this is the error that participants will see if you didn't correctly, or they didn't follow the link, including the detectnw. So that is important. All right, and so I'm going to hit join the study. Okay, now it's asking for my unique participant code. So a UPC for short is a way to help match up data. Participants who are at universities often have a university ID that the university keeps track of. And so what we want to be able to do is when participants enroll in COVID Detect, we want to be able to easily identify who they are in relation to the university, and then be able to essentially create a key that we can link up data between what will be a Eureka ID, which we'll see in the admin panel, and the university ID. So whenever a participant is enrolling, they're going to be given a UPC. For testing, you will get a link to this sheet that has a list of all of the detectnw UPCs for Stage. So this is really important to make sure that whenever you use a UPC, that you write that it's been used. So this will either work, or it will be an example of why we need to write that it's used. So only one per participant will be given out. And it worked. If it hadn't worked, I would have seen an error that says this UPC has already been used. So I'm going to head back over here, make sure I document that this has been used. And there's plenty of codes here. Okay, so now I am going to create a Eureka account. I'm going to put social test. I'm just creating a random email address. It does have to be unique in our system. Participants obviously should put their real email address. And I'm going to join. Okay, so this next screen is asking the participant to include their phone number. On the web, this is an important difference. On the web, if a participant really doesn't want to give out their cell phone, they can hit here, I don't have a cell phone, and they can continue. On the mobile app, a participant must give their phone number. It is required. So web is a good way to go if a participant doesn't want to give their cell phone. So as an example of that, I don't have a phone, and I'm going to hit continue. If I were going to put my phone number, I would be sent I think it's a 6-digit verification code that I would be sent a text message, and then on the next screen I would enter it. So very standard. Now I have an eligibility survey. So I'm not going to read every question to you, but you, when you're testing, should. I'm going to go ahead and make myself eligible. Both of these make someone eligible. Fantastic, I am eligible. This is my user. I'm gonna hit get started. And what I will see next, this is a screen that is right before DocuSign because we are going to consent. All right, and what we're going to see is a placeholder because we have not received the final consent yet. So placeholder, this will be configured later. And I'm going to finish. Okay, and so now we are fully registered on the web, and I can go ahead and take my baseline survey. I am going to jump over here to the mobile app, and I want to show onboarding on the mobile app. It works in a very similar fashion. So I'm going to open up my Stage app. Remember, don't download it from the App Store. It won't work because the study is on Stage. And so I am going to enter a study key. I'm going to hit this yellow button. And I'm going to enter that same study key that we did on the web, which is detectnw. There we go. I'm going to hit search. All right, and there's the study information, the same information that was shown on web. I'm going to sign up. Let's say social, let's say test 2, so that we can tell that they are different. Making up a birthday. Not old enough on mobile. There we go. Okay, going to make up another email address. For testing, I'm just making it up. Okay, so I do have to put in a phone number here. I'm going to do that off screen over here. Hold on just a second. I can actually show this part. So actually what I was doing when trying to do my phone verification, since I've tested before, my phone number has actually already been used. And so in the admin panel, which we'll look at this in more detail in just a moment, but this is good to know how to do because you're probably going to be making multiple test users. I'm going to go over to settings. And then I'm going to release my phone number so that I can use it again. I'm going to type in my phone number here. It's going to show a past user that I've had, and I'm going to hit release. So I'm just going to type in my phone number off screen. All right. So now we're back in action. I'm going to put this admin panel back over there. We'll take a look. But now that I have entered and verified my phone number, this is what I see. This is the study details that we saw on web. So I can scroll through, read all of those, and I'm going to hit sounds good, I'm in. And similarly, on mobile, I am now asked for my UPC. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take this next one. So we have X, W, S, PC9. So I did that right? Yep. So I'm confirmed. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to come over here, make sure that I document that this one is used. And now I'm filling out the exact same eligibility questions over here on mobile. So hopefully you're seeing that the experience on web and mobile really are quite similar. Yes, yes. Okay, I'm also eligible on mobile. That's great. And so once this screen on mobile loads, I should be in a very similar place. Well, actually, I need a consent first. So I clicked through it pretty quickly on web, but when DocuSign opened up, there was a check mark up in the left-hand corner that was quite small that I needed to click so that I could continue to sign the consent. Same thing on mobile over here. Down here in the corner, there's a really small checkbox that you agree to use, essentially DocuSign. So you have to click that, hit continue. I'm seeing that same placeholder, so I'll just sign. I'm drawing with my finger. Hit next, and I'm finishing. And now I should be at the very same location. Aha, so I see over here on mobile that I have baseline. This is my first survey and I can click start. And then over here on web, I have baseline and I can hit start. So very, very similar here. I am going to go ahead and take my first survey on web. I could do the same thing on mobile, but more of the same. Hit take the survey. And here's our baseline survey. So I'm going to quickly click through most of this, but I definitely encourage you to read every single question because participants may have specific questions for you about what they're being asked. But for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and click through. Okay, so I finished that first survey. So you'll notice that on web, it was one long survey on one web page. And now I do want to show you kind of how questions work on mobile. So it's that same survey. Remember, this is a separate test user over here on mobile. I'm going to hit start. And you'll notice that there is one question per page. So I'll just click through a few of these again. And you can see that on some questions, if it's check all that apply, I select my answer. I could select a few and hit next. And then some of the questions, if it's just one selection, it does auto advance. Okay, so that's what it looks like on mobile. Okay, so next I'm asked for my shipping address. I'm just gonna make something up here. Okay, hit enter. Same thing would happen on mobile. So if I cancel out of the activity, you'll see that current address is also the next item up on mobile. Now we're at medications. Just put an example. Should auto-populate. There we go. I'm gonna take an aspirin and I take it every 6 days. And I'm currently taking it. Okay, so there's my medication. I can add as many as I want. I can also do the same thing on mobile. I'm gonna hit save and continue. All right, thank you for completing the baseline survey. For the next 2 weeks, 14 days, you will be asked to report how you are feeling using a daily survey on Eureka. Again, that can be on the web or mobile. You will be asked to give samples each day, which will be tested for COVID-19. A research coordinator will be in contact with you daily to lead you through sample collection. In order to proceed, you must have a research coordinator on the phone with you. And then it asks, are you on a video call with a research coordinator? If not, exit the survey and come back when you're on a video call. This is really important. We really don't want participants to go on and complete their first daily survey without the coordinator on the video call. And the reason is because after this section is completed, and we'll look at this a little closer, that essentially starts the cadence for how participants will get their daily survey for the following 13 days for a total of 14. So this is really important. So let's say I am on a video call with one of you. It's really important that the participant opens up their survey, whether on the web or the app. So you can see here, next steps. I have that same next steps over here. Submit. Okay, so I have my daily survey asking about my symptoms. And then the next thing that I'm going to see are instructions about the nasal swab. So again, please only continue if you're on a video call with a research coordinator. Are you on a video call with a research coordinator? If not, exit this survey and come back when you're on a video call. So participants, we really want to emphasize that. And then here are the instructions that you will also run through with the participant, but they can also look at these instructions. Have you completed sample collection? If not, close the survey and come back. Really important. And I'm going to submit. Great. So this participant, which is social test, is finished with baseline, and I've also completed my first daily survey. So tomorrow I will get my second daily survey. Daily surveys open at 6 a.m. Central Time every single day. And so that should be early enough to where when you have a scheduled video call with a participant, the survey will be open. It'll be here with the start button, just like we saw earlier. And then the same for mobile, those activities, which will be these two, the daily symptoms, and then the specimen collection instructions will always be open and ready for them. And it's really important that you make sure that those are completed each day. So let's take a look at the admin panel. Your admin panel might look a little bit different from mine, and that's fine. To get an admin account, there will be a special link where you will request access. And then there will be two types of admin roles. One role is a study manager, and study managers will be able to approve other admin requests. And then a study admin, and this is everyone else. So study managers will have access to this tab up here. And then study managers will be able to see who has requested access. These are people from my team here who have been testing. And then a study manager, for example, if there is a new request from somebody on their team that they know, they'll be able to come here. They'll be able to approve the request and then select the appropriate role. So our colleagues at UMass will help here. Okay, so the main section that you'll be using is the participants section of the admin panel. So this is a list of all of the participants who are in stage. And you'll notice that there's a lot of test users. People from my team we've been testing this a lot. So each participant will be assigned a Eureka ID. These are stage IDs. When we're on production or the live environment, the numbers are a little bit longer, but everything is laid out the same. We'll see the name of the participant. We'll see the email that they signed up with. We'll see the date of birth, if they've consented, the timestamp. And then over here, this is really important. We have a randomization. So whenever a participant consents, so as soon as I consented right here, a social test, and I signed that DocuSign, I was assigned either right or left. And this has to do with which nostril this participant will be swabbing first each day. So this participant is left and up here is right. So this is where you will go to check, and then you as a coordinator will need to communicate that to the participant each day. So if I click on my participant's name, I see the email that I entered. I also see that address that I entered in the activity. And then if I scroll down here, I see the consent. I can see that I've signed it. And if I click this, it'll route me to DocuSign, and I can download it as well. If I head over to activity, we will see eVisit 1. And so let's expand this. The way that Eureka works is we organize different participant activities and surveys in what we call eVisits. And so the eVisit that we just did, which is actually what's still on the screen here, this is what we consider eVisit 1, the baseline survey. We had the shipping address collection, medications, that next step survey where it gave an overview of what was going to happen and that we really needed a coordinator to continue. And then the daily symptoms and then the specimen collection instruction. So this was all e-visit 1 and it has been completed. So that makes sense because over here, which this is the test user, says I'm all good for now. So one thing to notice is that it looks like there are 2 current address activities, and one of them has a red X, and that translates to it's expired. And the reason is because we have one activity for web, which this participant, we did participate in the web, and then we have a separate activity from a technical standpoint that is associated with mobile. And so if one is completed, the other is expired. So this tells me, because I'm familiar with what I just did on the web over here, that I completed the activity on the web, and so I don't need to take it again on mobile. So that's what that means. So e-visit 1 has the very first daily symptom survey and specimen collection instructions. And then tomorrow at 6 a.m. when my next survey is ready, that's going to open e-visit 2. And e-visit 2 will have all the rest of the 13 days. And so let's see if we can find an example of that. I think this was a test user I was using earlier. Good activity. Let me just try one more to see if I can show you e-visit 2 open. Aha, here we go. So this is a test user. I finished e-visit 1. And then down here, you can see that e-visit 2 opened. And this shows that I did the second day, because remember the first day the daily surveys were up here in baseline. And so what we'll expect to see is e-visit 2 will open and close for a total of 13 times, and then added with this one will be 14. I actually sped through this e-visit so I could get to the last e-visit, but e-visit 2 under normal circumstances will end up having opening and closing every single day. So every day there'll be a new daily symptom survey and a new specimen collection instruction. After a participant has finished all 14 days in the study, 2 months later, or 2.5 months from consent, something called e-visit 3 will open. And that has a follow-up survey, very similar to that baseline survey that we began with, but a little bit different. And then a final medications survey. So e-visit 3 opens 2.5 months after consent. All right, so let's take a look. We'll go to the message tab. This shows all of the messages. I'm going to go back to my test participant we've been using. Participants are sent messages each day when their daily survey opens. And so you'll see a log of the reminders here, but my test user hasn't been sent any messages yet. If they're on the mobile app and they've agreed to push notifications, you'll see that here. If not, they'll get an email. Nothing for health data for COVID detect, nothing for notes for COVID detect. Pinned messages, you'll see this on a participant who is already in that e-visit 2. It has this information. It says thanks, it reminds them about the study, and then it gives them contact information. So tomorrow, when my participant social test has her e-visit 2 open up at 6 a.m., I will have this pin message, and this will have a green check mark. All right, and now we have coordinator forms. Coordinator forms are a pretty important part of the COVID detect study. And our colleagues at UMass will go through these in more detail about when to fill them out, how to fill them out, but I will give an overview. If you click here, there is a key that shows when coordinator forms have been completed, in progress, or if you're ready to begin. But coordinator forms are a way to document what's going on with a participant and to enter data. And so we call these different categories. And so all of these are accordion style. You can drop down every single one. And so this will really lead you through the study. And again, I defer to the exact protocol of when to fill these out to our colleagues at UMass, but there's a coordinator form for contact or appointment made. We have coordinator forms for every single day to document that sample collection happened. Similarly, we have a coordinator form for every single day for sample pickup, sample delivery to document that happened, or when the swab was sent to the lab, study compensation to document how much and what type of compensation the participant has been given. We have a place to document adverse events, protocol deviations, and then master corrections. We'll talk about this in just a minute. So let's take a look at a coordinator form. I'm going to start with sample collection. So this would be when I'm on the phone with the participant and leading them through that very first observation. I'm going to click this arrow to begin. I'm going to confirm that this is the correct participant, and this is the form that I intend to fill out. It's really important to take your time here because coordinator forms can only be filled out once. If you make a mistake, you'll have to fill out a corrections form. Okay, confirm. And this, there's a pop-up because I am on the stage site, but that won't be there for live participants. And now I'm going to use this form to record the sample collection that was observed and document the relevant information. I'm just going to fill this out with gibberish, but I definitely encourage you to take your time to read these forms and make sure that you know what type of data goes in each form. And I'm going to submit it for this participant. And it should brought me back to the coordinator forms area, and we'll see that this form has been completed. So if I open this up, there we can see that this one has been filled out. Here's the timestamp, and then it also has which coordinator. So now remember I'm being a coordinator, who opened it and then who ultimately submitted it. So you'll see that these all operate the same way. So make sure that you understand your protocol of when to fill these out and what type of information is in each. I'll do one more. I'll just do adverse event. Same thing, correct name. This is who I intend to fill it out. This is the coordinator form that I wish to fill out. Again, I'm just clicking through these, but I encourage you to become familiar. All right, in a similar fashion, if I open this up, you can see that I've logged this adverse event. Okay, so please review all of those. And now let's take a look at the corrections forms. So let's say up here, I made a mistake and I said that there was an adverse event, but there actually wasn't. So maybe I clicked something wrong. So that's something that would be in the master correction forms. When I open this up, what you'll see is every single option, all of these coordinator forms show all of the questions. And what I'm going to want to do is find the exact question that I wish to fix or correct. And then I'm just going to submit that one question. So sample collection observation day 1, I need to find that form. This is a big file. So it starts with that contact or appointment made, but I need to find, here it is, sample collection observation form day 1. And let's see, wanted to say, no, there wasn't an adverse event. So I'm, again, making this up that this is what I would want to correct. I'm going to hit no, there weren't any adverse events. And so now I'm ready to submit this. So you can see that this is a teeny tiny scroll bar because this has every single day coordinator form. So you can see here's sample day 3. If I scroll further down, there's 5. You can make more than one correction if you have more than one correction to make. So I'm going to scroll down. I think I'm going to just keep going for a bit. Let's say I also made a mistake right here. What was the deviation number for the 3rd time I'm filling out a protocol deviation? Just as an example, I can also enter another field. Okay, so those are the 2 corrections that I want to make, and I'm going to hit submit. All right, and so that was saved. So now again, similar fashion, I can drop down and I can see all of the information about the corrections form that I just filled out. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's go back to the participants tab and let's click on their user ID, the Eureka ID this time. This is where you can correct a person's email if they mistyped it and hit save. This is also where you can help with a password reset. Both on the web and on the app, a participant could reset the password themselves. But if they need help, this is where you can correct it. You would just open up this field and type the new password and hit save. This is also where you can see the UPC that the participant entered. Don't change this, but I can see this participant social test used the detectnw referral or study key. And then here's their UPC they entered. If a participant is withdrawing from the study, you would change this radio button to withdraw and hit save. And then the last thing that I want to show you up here is very important for production. So we're on stage and these are all test users, so make as many as you want. But once we are actively enrolling people on production, let's say you make a test user on production, which is fine. But really, if you're just practicing process, you should be on stage, but it does happen. If the R test user is on production, we want to exclude them from the data set. So it's incredibly important that after you create a test user, you come here and mark them as test. This excludes them from all data reports. And then you would hit save. All right. We also have different reports here in the study maintenance tab that you may or may not be using. A few to point out is there's a report to download to look at the different UPCs. So you can check those out. And we also have different reports that basically have all of the information from the different coordinator forms that you're entering, recruitment reports, activity reports. You can see where people are. We have a coordinator data entry report that shows all of the coordinator forms that have been printed out. But if you find yourself using these, we can have a follow-up training session on this. All right, so in summary, I think the most important thing is to understand that to find the study on stage, I will need to give you a link. The study key for Northwestern is detectnw, so that's very important to use in the URL when participants are enrolling on the web, or as the study key when participants are enrolling on the app. If you want to practice on the app, you need to give me your Apple ID or Google Play ID, and do not download it from the App Store. And then this will be where you grab your UPCs. Make sure you document if you've used them so everyone else stays organized and can test as well. And then make sure you practice going through all of the participant surveys as a participant, And then make sure that you go through all of the coordinator forms and practice filling them out and make sure that you know when to fill them out. Other than that, it is pretty straightforward. So play around and yeah, let me know if you have any questions.